This is NASA TV.
Good afternoon and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center. I'm Chelsea Bayarte, joined here by the crew members of NASA's SpaceX Crew-6 mission at their Crew News Conference. These individuals are launching to the International Space Station no earlier than February 26th aboard a SpaceX Crew Dragon Endeavour spacecraft, and they are NASA astronaut and Crew-6 commander Steve Bowen, NASA astronaut and pilot Woody Hoburg, UAE astronaut and mission specialist Sultan Alneyadi, and Roscosmos cosmonaut and mission specialist Andrey Fedyaev. So I know you're eager to ask them some questions, so please, if you have a question on the phone, press star 1. If your question's already been asked and you'd like to retract it, please push star 2. We'll also be taking questions here in the room as well as on Twitter, so if you have a question on social media, please send in yours using hashtag AskNASA, and we'll be on the lookout for them. But first, I want to toss it over to Steve Bowen for some opening remarks.
I just want to thank you all for attending and for being online and watching us on NASA TV. It's really exciting as a crew. It's sort of been a long road to get here, and we're very excited and we all feel very privileged to be a part of this mission going to the International Space Station next month. And we're really looking forward to the experiences we have ahead of us. And from a personal note, it's been a great honor to work with these astronauts, cosmonauts. It's an amazing team I've been privileged to have with me, and we are all looking forward to our flight.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. So we're going to start out with some questions here in the room. If you want to start with your name and affiliation, and as well as which astronaut or cosmonaut you'd like to direct your questions to. I have a question right here.
Carot with Aviation Week and Space Technology, and I believe this is for the commander. Could you discuss some of the spacewalk potential activities or certain activities that you see unfolding during your 6-month mission?
Actually, our mission is incredibly full of vehicles coming to visit us. We were just discussing shortly after we get to space station, SpaceX 27 is going to arrive with a full complement of science, and usually SpaceX vehicles, when they get to the space station, it's 30 days of continuous work, followed by NG-19, which will visit shortly thereafter, and during the same time frame, potentially we have crew flight test coming up with the Boeing vehicle, which is, I think that's really going to be incredibly exciting. It's currently scheduled for sometime April-ish, but followed by Axiom 2, and then another SpaceX at the end. And the SpaceX 28 at the sort of the end of the increment is sort of our opportunity for any EVAs. So we may actually have EVAs on top of 3 cargo vehicles and 2 crewed vehicles coming to visit. So it's just such an exciting increment. We're going to be busy. We're going to be tired, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, thanks, Steve. So we've got a question on the phone. We'll go to Marcia Dunn with Associated Press.
Hi, for Steve and Andre at least, and maybe the other two would like to chime in. I'm wondering, what's your secret to working together and trusting one another with your lives, given the messy, confrontational state of affairs between your country's leaders here on Earth? Do you avoid certain political topics, not read the headlines out of Ukraine? Or if there have been tensions, how do you resolve them? Thanks so much.
So I'll answer that for my part, I guess. It's I've been working and training with cosmonauts for over 20 years now, and it's always been amazing. Once you get to space, it's just one crew, one vehicle, and we all have the same goal. And having the opportunity to train in Russia over the past number of years, in addition in the past year, really focusing on the mission. That's why we're there. That's what we're there for. I'll have to toss over to Andre, but it's working with our crewmates. That's really what we do.
Конечно, мне тут сложно что-либо добавить. Конечно, такое довольно длительное уже сотрудничество в космосе между нашими странами. И я всегда говорил, что жизнь людей, космонавтов, астронавтов на станции из разных стран является ярким примером, то есть жизнь людей в космосе является ярким примером того, как люди должны жить на Земле. Ну и я считаю, мы являемся очень хорошим примером этого.
It's really hard for me to add anything here. Space cooperation has a very long history, and we are setting the example of how people should be living on Earth. The life of people in space on the International Space Station is really setting a very good example for how people should be living on Earth.
Definitely all about the mission, and that's what we're here today to talk about. We're going to go to a question in the room. Gina Sinceri, ABC.
Who wants to talk about the patch and its significance and how it was designed?
There's a patch up there. You can talk to it.
Well, yeah, I think when we started talking about the patch, we were looking at different elements linked to dragons, and I wouldn't say that we were running out of options, but we all liked ships, and historically all the space shuttles were named after vessels or discovery ships, so we like their names, Endeavour, we like the name Discovery, and so on. So we thought, what about having a ship maybe in the patch? So we looked up at items that has maybe a dragon figurehead, and we found like a good, cool idea of having maybe a figurehead ship as the main element. And as you may know, that the dragon actually dock in the forward of the station itself. So that became the main element. Plus, we had a very cool addition by Andrey when he said, let's use the cosmonaut 2012 class shape, which is it looks like a sail, but it's actually the idea of 3 planets, or I would say Earth, Moon, and Mars. So that actually kind of draw a sail. So we thought, okay, a ship and a sail, that can work together. We added other elements like the Draco constellation, which is a similar name to some of the engines on the capsule itself. And as you may see, actually, our names are written in the original language. So I think it came as a cool patch after all. And one final element is the actual space station. It looks like an anchor to the ship, which also was presented very well in the patch. So we're really happy and proud of our patch. Thanks.
And we have a question from here in the room. Eric?
Hi, Eric Berger with Ars Technica. It's a question for anyone who wants to address it. Low Earth orbit's becoming increasingly congested. The ISS is doing maneuvers. We had the MMOD strike on Soyuz MS-22 in December. I'm just wondering, if that's you're going to be up there for a long time, 6 months. Is that something you think about, are concerned about? I'm sure you train for it, but just talk a little bit about sort of living in this environment where there is lots of debris zinging around that's potentially a threat to the place you're living.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Certainly there's been a lot of concern about this recently. We're lucky to be able, we kind of know when the big stuff's coming. So as you know, we are able to move the space station out of the way, given some heads up that there's a potential conjunction, and that's something the mission control team does a great job of on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We're always thinking about how to keep the station clear of incoming conjunctions, and often using those opportunities to also reboost at the same time. So we need those reboosts, and if we can be opportunistic about those, it's a good opportunity. I think we just fall back on our training for the case where we do potentially have, let's say, a late conjunction and we're not able to move out of the way. We have safe haven procedures, and we're well trained to deal with that situation.
We have a question right up front here.
White from Russian Sputnik News. Please, I have a question. Would you like to see these cross flights to continue in the future between NASA and Roscosmos? And what are their advantages? How do you complement each other? This is very multicultural crew. Do you have some kind of concrete example? For example, one of you, knows how to do better one thing, the other one the other thing. Is there anything like that? Thank you.
I think, I think we're actually a pretty well balanced, well complemented crew. Everybody seems to be able to fill in the gaps wherever we have them. It's just an incredibly talented group of people I have the opportunity to train with. And I think the advantage to having a multicultural crew is fairly obvious. And as far as having a Russian cosmonaut on board, that really balances out so that each of the countries will always have some presence on the International Space Station. And and y'all have any concrete examples of where somebody's skills helped beyond?
Well, actually, I think we all complement each other, be it the background that we trained from or the language. Actually, even when we run emergency procedures, we have people dealing with the procedure, somebody actually physically doing something. Andrey might take the comm and talk to MCC Moscow. So it's all like a group activity to complement each other and achieve the goal. And in our case, in case of an emergency, it's the safety of the crew. So I think we play a good team together overall.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Would you like to see the cross flights?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's it's an advantage to all of us.
And I think we might not have had a microphone on Lenka. She repeated her question if they would like to see cross flights again in the future.
Yeah.
So we're going to take one on the phone. Robert Perlman with Collect Space.
Hi, a question for Steve or for any member of the crew, and a follow-up to Gina's question about the patch. Did you as a crew also design the Expedition 69 patch? And if so, we heard on the last panel that it hasn't been decided yet if you're going to be a continuation of Expedition 68 or a new Expedition 69. If it turns out to be the first, are you okay with another crew taking on that design that you may have designed?
Do you want to handle it? You could
Sure, I
this
can
way.
take that.
Yeah.
It's actually a somewhat funny set of circumstances. So my classmate and colleague Laurel O'Hara, who was scheduled to fly on the Soyuz launching this spring, did most of the work of designing the absolutely beautiful Expedition 69 patch. Yeah. And it's got some really cool elements. It's based actually on a stained glass mural at the Profi in Russia as one of the elements. And so we are, as far as we know, with the arrival of the upcoming Soyuz, we will be transitioning to Expedition 69. That's the latest I've heard, but certainly things could change. But assuming that to be the case, we would adopt that patch. We can't take credit for it because I think Laurel did all the work, and she won't even. She will likely fly next fall, as it turns out. Yeah. But it's just a beautiful patch, and she did ask her opinion, and so we absolutely love it. Yeah. So it's an honor to get to be part of Expedition 69.
Thank you for your question, Robert. We're going to go to Sarwat Nazir with the National on the phone.
Hello, hi. My question is for Sultan. If you could talk about what's going to be on the menu for you on the space station. Are you going to have some traditional Emirati cuisines like Hazal Mansouri did back in 2019? And my second question is, could you talk a little bit more about the science that you'll be doing on the ISS? Mr. Salim previously mentioned that there would be about 15 experiments from your universities. If you could just, talk about some of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarwat. Honestly, it's going to be a busy schedule, and coming to the second question, it's going to be a busy schedule in terms of science and doing all of sort of cool stuff. So we are subjects ourselves. We have a lot of sensors on us when we do experiments. They log our sleep, they log our vascular activities, breathing, and so on. So that is one part of the medical experiments, I would say. We have a range of other experiments like material science and bioscience. So as Steve mentioned, the the overall 6 months is going to be really busy, yet we will have to stick with very solid science that will come back and share with humanity. And in terms of food, I think I'll leave it to the other press conference that hopefully will be done in Dubai soon. But I think it's going to be reflected towards food that is coming from the UAE.
And you'll share.
We will share definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll make sure we do that.
Okay, thank you for your question. That was great. We're going to go on the phone again to David Denault with About Space Today.
This is for cosmonaut Andrey. You probably have trained in a Soyuz capsule. Now you're going to fly in a Dragon capsule. How do you describe the compartment at a Soyuz and the luxury, so to speak, of the Dragon?
Хороший вопрос, конечно. Good question. Да. Ну, на самом деле, принципиально нельзя сравнивать этих два корабля, потому что это совершенно две разные эпохи, ведь между ними практически 50-60 лет стоит между созданием этих двух кораблей.
It's a really good question, and just in principle, you cannot compare these two vehicles because there are 50 or 60 years between when they were designed.
Ну вот конкретно для человека, который задает этот вопрос, я хочу ответить другим вопросом.
But just specifically for the person who asked this question, I want to answer by asking a different question.
Вот что бы вы выбрали? Например, между двух вариантов. У вас первый вариант – это большая однокомнатная студия, квартира, где вы можете жить, либо небольшая двухкомнатная.
If you had to choose between one large studio, like one bedroom studio, and two smaller rooms.
This is my answer, sorry.
That was a good description.
Thank you. So if you're just joining us, we are taking questions with the Crew-6 crew. If you are on our phone bridge today, please press *1 to ask a question, and we'll call on you. Or if you have a question on social media, head over to Twitter and push #AskNASA, and we'll be looking out for your questions as well. I'm going to take one from social media right now. I think this one can be for Steve. What are you going to be doing in space, and how long are you going to be there for? This question is from Yankee Pilgrim on Twitter.
Well, what are we going to be doing in space? So we have a 6-month mission. I think it's currently scheduled for about 182 days. I outlined the number of people that are going to be visiting us, the number of vehicles that will be visiting us. We've got hundreds of experiments that will be assisting along the way. For me, this is the first time I have the opportunity to spend more than a couple weeks on Space Station. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to live on board Space Station. I've been kind of joking, it's like as a contractor, when you build a house, it's really cool. You get to see how things come together, but most of the time you never get to live there. Well, I get to go live in the house I helped build, and that's going to be really exciting for me. I really look forward to that opportunity, spending the time with this crew. I mean, this is going to be great. So, what do you guys? What do you want?
I mean, I like to think of it kind of as follows. As Steve said, we're going to be living in space for 6 months. So I think back to 6 months ago and think, okay, that's a long time. So we certainly have to take care of ourselves. That means sleeping, eating, exercising quite a bit. When we are not doing those things, we are working. And our work on the space station, I kind of think of it as two different things. So first, the purpose of the space station, it's a national lab, and it's for scientific research. So we have this incredible, unique, weightless environment where we can conduct amazing scientific research, and that's why we go to the ISS. And then, so that's maybe half of the time we spend is on that scientific research, and then the other half is on keeping that beautiful space station flying. So that means doing maintenance, repairs, potentially going outside and doing spacewalks to upgrade things, but just keeping the space station healthy.
Personally, what are you looking forward to? It's got to be something.
I'm trying not to get my hopes up about possibly getting to do an EVA, but that's certainly on the list. But I think just when we arrive, I'm looking forward to looking out the window. Yeah.
Well, I totally share the same ideas and looking forward to work as a team. And as Woody mentioned, we will be living there. So just the idea of waking up every morning and having the access to a window like the cupola, I think it's literally out of this world. I mean, you can see and scan the whole world in 90 minutes, which is amazing. So that is probably the one thing that I want to see in person. But obviously, doing all the tasks that we train to do, actually doing science, doing all the repairs, and actually communicate the activities that we do on board with students, and just spreading the enthusiasm about the space station and traveling to space overall.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's.
Usually his answer is so much better than the rest of us.
So we're going to be switching over to a couple of questions on the phone branch. We've got Bill Hardwood with CBS.
Yeah, thank you very much. A question for Andrey, if I could. Have you spoken to Anna Kikina about her experience with Crew Dragon? Does she have any advice or maybe give you any idea of what to expect? Thanks.
Ну, безусловно, мы некоторой информацией обменивались, вот, но в целом она настолько занята на станции сейчас, что нам не очень часто приходится с ней общаться.
Yes, definitely. We did have some information exchange with her, but right now she is so busy on the International Space Station that we didn't really have very much time to communicate.
Okay, we'll go to David Curley with the Discovery Channel on the phone. David, are you with us?
Questions for Steve. Thank you. I'm here. Sorry about that. Steve, a couple of questions. Two big events happening, well, more than two big events, but two that I'd like to ask you about. Starliner's potential arrival. How important is that for the program to have that second vehicle, that it could become operational and certified? And secondly, Axiom 1, there were some issues that management talked about working on. How comfortable are you with the changes and having visitors join you on station? Thank you.
So the opportunity for Starliner to visit, I mean, it's an incredible opportunity. When you think about the fact that we'll have two companies able to provide the opportunity to reach low Earth orbit, it's just amazing. So we're really looking forward to that. That'll be an incredibly, sort of, I hate to use the word game changer, but it'll change the way we look at how we fly to space. Having one company that's been sort of very directly supported and by the government, but having two, that's a different opportunity, and it's a great opportunity looking forward. A few years ago, this was not even a possibility, and it's just amazing. We're going to hopefully get to that point on our flight. For Axiom 2, we've had the opportunity to talk to Peggy and John, the crew members on Axiom 2, and we think that it's going to be a great opportunity, a great flight when they get to visit. They'll be up there for about a week or so, and they have a great plan for their mission, and we'll do what we can to support them. And I think it's going to work out well. It's another paradigm shift. Those two events, huge events actually, in spaceflight happening during our increment, on top of all the other work we get to do. I don't think we're going to fully be able to absorb it until after the fact, how important those two events really are. So it's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
So we'll go now to Sophie Sanchez with Cosmic Chicago.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I guess this question could be answered by anyone. Earlier in the previous broadcast, we heard our managers speaking about the low probability events that they plan for when it comes to things like strikes to the Soyuz. I was wondering if you guys could speak a little bit more to the training that you guys as astronauts do to prepare for these low probability events, especially Steve, maybe if you can offer any insight into how the training has changed over the years. Thank you.
So I'll let Woody take the difficult scientific side of this, I guess. I'll just give a couple anecdotes along the way. So yeah, the way we've looked at the probability of MMOD strikes on the International Space Station. For the life of station, from when I first showed up, it's been the highest probability event for causing loss of station. During the life of the program was initially estimated 1 in 250 or somewhere thereabout. But in a real way, I've been out doing a spacewalk and seeing holes through handrails where obviously MMOD strikes have happened. On my first flight, we actually had a window on the pilot side, take a small MMOD strike on the outer pane. I had the weird opportunity of seeing a shooting star go below my feet during an EVA. And it was really cool until I realized that, hey, that rock was just out here with me. So, it's a real thing. And our ability to discern and see what's coming has changed and evolved as our capabilities have improved through the years. As far as the training and what we have to help us with that, I'll pass that over to Woody.
Yeah, sure. So as I think many of you are well aware, we train for 3 different emergency class sort of events, 3 different types of emergency that we could face on the space station. So those are fire, depress, and toxic atmosphere. And then, in addition, we have some emergency procedures like safe haven that we could end up in the case of things like a late conjunction with some kind of late conjunction with some kind of MMOD. In terms of, the training prepares us for those low probability events. We are ready should any of those things occur. We're ready to respond. And I also, just thinking about that question, I think it's important to acknowledge all the work that happens on the ground, the teams that do the analysis and think about all of the different ways that bad things could happen and keep us safe. And so, this is space flight. Things that you don't expect occur. There is danger, and stuff that you never could have imagined happens, like losing all the coolant on a Soyuz due to a late MMOD strike. And it's not to say that's not imaginable, that's completely imaginable, but it really does happen. So these low probability events really do occur. And I think our teams here around the world at the mission control centers and all our engineers do an admirable job of dealing with those things when they come up.
Anything you'd like to add? Okay. Going on to the phone, we have Marcia Smith with Space Policy Online.
Thanks so much. My question is for Andrey, and it's back to the spacewalk question. I'm wondering, since there were a number of Russian spacewalks that had to be canceled, I'm wondering how many are going to be taking place while you're up there, and are you expecting an opportunity to be on one of those spacewalks yourself? And also, do you know if there are any plans, once you do resume spacewalks, to check to see if there's any residual contamination from the propellant around the airlock?
На самом деле, да, действительно это так. Значит, много выходов было отменено, и основная их часть, которая была запланирована в том числе и на экспедицию 69 с Кононенко, с Чубом и Охарой, на этот экипаж МС-23 корабля, они будут перенесены ближе к апрелю, я так полагаю.
That is correct. A number of EVAs has been cancelled, and some of the EVAs, which were initially scheduled for the 69 Soyuz crew, Oleg Kononenko, Nikolai Chub, and Laurel O'Hara, they will be moved to a later date, sometimes in April, I guess, and that's MS-23 crew initially.
Конкретно для меня, на мой полет выходов в открытый космос не планировалось. Вот. Моя задача главная будет состоять в поддержке или в обеспечении тех выходов при помощи роботизированной руки европейской.
For me personally, no EVAs were planned for my flight, but I will be supporting EVAs using the European robotic arm.
Вот. И второй вопрос, напомните, пожалуйста.
And could you please remind me the second question that you asked?
So I don't think we have them on the phone bridge anymore.
Cool. Okay. Ну, вот это я не знаю, так как мне не ставили задачу выхода в открытый космос, поэтому и у нас очень часто задачи в открытый космос от одного выхода к выходу сейчас могут меняться, вот, поэтому, может быть, что-то такое будет, а может быть, нет, я не могу точно сказать.
It's hard for me to answer this question right now, since no EVAs were originally planned for me, but EVA plans and programs are changed sometimes. So for now, I don't know if anything is planned like that, but this might change.
So since we're speaking of spacewalks, we have a couple of questions from social media about them. Indranil would like to know how many you anticipate, if any, and then B would like to ask if any of those spacewalks involve the IROSAs.
The answer to the second question is yes. So during the later part of our mission, as Steve mentioned, we're expecting the SpaceX 28 cargo vehicle to come up and visit us starting around June. And in the trunk of that vehicle, there will be 2 IROSAs, our ISS rollout solar arrays. And so, as many of you know, we're undergoing a kind of long-term effort right now to upgrade the solar arrays on space station, and we're maybe midway through that process. And so, actually, the crew on board right now has been working on the mod kits for the 1 alpha power channel. The mod kit for the 1 Bravo power channel is already in place, and so those mod kits allow us, hopefully, to go out the door and install those new IROSA solar arrays. I think we were planning 2 right now, with maybe a 3rd as a contingency, but I'm hearing it might become 3 because it is quite a bit of work, and we also have some additional work to do beyond the solar arrays. So.
Thanks, Woody. We're going to go back to the phone bridge with Marvin Marshall with the Nighttime News Space Report.
Hi, my name is Marvin Marshall from the Nighttime News Space Report on Twitch.tv. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to all 4 of you. So excited to see you all go up to the station here very soon. Now I've got a question, for all 4 of you guys, if that's okay. What personal or fun items are you excited to bring up with you when when you get up there, and when you look out the window? What is that first thing that you're going to be looking for when you get up there? And again, thank you guys again for taking our question. You have an awesome flight aboard Dragon and Falcon, and we'll hopefully talk to you guys in low Earth orbit soon.
All right, I guess I'll start. I think I'm going to be most excited watching you guys look out the window for the first time. First time you get to float, it's just going to be so much fun. I'm just hoping my body retains the memory from 12 years ago so I can enjoy it properly. But as far as personal items I'm bringing up to enjoy and play with on orbit, I really can't think of anything specific that I'm bringing, but there's just so much to do up there when you have a spare opportunity, looking out the window, just floating. Floating never gets old. It's a good way to break up your day. So I guess I'll pass it on to you guys.
Yeah, I'm deeply looking forward to that first look out the cupola. Who knows where we'll be in terms of our orbital past, but whatever it is, I'm excited to see it for the first time. And then in terms of personal items, mine's simple. Unfortunately, over the summer, I lost my father, and so I'm just bringing a photo of him that means a lot to me. And I wish he could come along with me, but at least I will be bringing him along with me. So.
Well, we all get the chance to take a lot of items. I have a lot of items that I'm going to take, but specifically, I'm taking a jiu-jitsu kimono. I'm still looking for a victim to train with. I won't call the name. Yeah, not victim, partner maybe. And yeah, that's one cool item I'm looking for. I'm also taking some small Tintin rockets from the old adventure of Tintin. And looking down to Earth, I have a plan to probably see it with a camera. So I want to share that first moment with everyone. Hopefully it will work. So I'll try to prevent myself to go there alone before taking a camera with me and share the moment with everyone.
Ну, Конечно же, безусловно, мне хочется скорее уже приступить к этому делу, попасть на станцию и увидеть нашу планету с высоты 400 километров.
I'm really looking forward to this moment when I finally arrive to the International Space Station and I can look down on Earth from the altitude of 400 kilometers.
Ну, а из личных вещей я тоже взял очень много разных небольших вещей. Ну, это фотографии близких, родных, это различные детские рисунки, какие-то другие подарочные вещи, которые, различные значки, медали, которые я потом смогу после полета раздарить своим друзьям, близким, знакомым.
And in terms of personal items, I took a lot of small items like photos of my relatives, kids' drawings, different small souvenirs, medals, pins that I would be able to share and to give to my friends and family.
So going back to the phone bridge, we have Manuel Mazzanti with Exploration Espacial.
Thank you. How are you? Maybe a question for Commander Bowen or the rest of the crew as well. Given what happened with Soyuz and all the logistics going on to see how to resolve a potential emergency, I wonder if having extra Crew Dragon seats and suits on board the station was ever considered. I know they're custom made for each astronaut, but maybe having average sizes of seats and suits can be implemented. Was ever discussed?
Well, you know, since this event happened in December, we've been pretty much totally involved in training and haven't had an opportunity to be a part of the discussions as to what things that they've considered. I'm sure they have considered all those options. You know, the SpaceX suits, as we all know, they're very, very personalized. They really do fit you very precisely. So, you know, I'm sure that was a consideration when they were looking at how to make this work for any of these contingencies going forward. I do think that this is a great example. You know, I've seen it real time when things go wrong on board station, whether it be, you know, losing a tool bag, having the camera on the space shuttle's arm get twisted around. You know, NASA and the space agencies now, really across the board, coming together and getting to a solution. You know, now with our commercial partners as well, it's really amazing to see how innovative people can be in extremely difficult engineering positions. You know, these vehicles are all designed and built, and they're already up there. Now you have to find a solution to solve this problem with what you've been given. You can't necessarily provide anything new, and those challenges, those engineering challenges, are absolutely amazing to watch people solve. And it's been incredibly exciting. This time, I think we've got to a good solution so far. But you know, looking back at the history, it's just one of the really exciting reasons to be here. It's just amazing to watch people solve problems. So.
Thank you, Steve. I just wanted to do a quick check. Do we have any questions in the room? Linka, go ahead.
Thank you, Sputnik News again. Just what is the biggest challenge for each of you? You know, it's very unique opportunity. So any of you, do you have like some challenges you're afraid of, or are you just not, you know? Thank you.
I always say that, you know, once you get on the launch pad and you get yourself strapped in, my biggest concern, my biggest fear is, am I actually capable of performing the mission they've asked me to perform? You know, and that goes doubly this time because I've never been in the space station for 6 months, and that challenge is really the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, and seeing how I perform, seeing how I come through that. That I think is my biggest concern and my challenge, because I know these guys can handle anything. So that's my personal challenge.
Yeah, I think as a first-time flyer, there's a certain component of uncertainty that's hard to remove. The training's been incredible, and so I feel prepared, but I also know that I'm flying into something completely unknown, and I think that just by definition brings interesting challenges.
Yeah, I think reaching this level is definitely a moment when you feel confident. Well, thanks to the training and the proper knowledge gain that we get, I think we're ready. I won't call it fear, but I would call it respect. I heard this word from a fellow astronaut. He said we need to respect the machine that we're handling. So we have a lot of respect for the rocket, for the capsule, station overall. And in case of an emergency, I think we are really equipped with the proper response. We have procedures we can run. We have memorized responses that we can conduct. So in that regard, I won't call it fear. We're ready for it. In terms of the most difficult thing, I think 6 months is a long duration, and probably the most difficult thing is staying away from family. Hopefully we can keep that connection with our beloved ones, and again share the daily routine that we're having, and keep that bond throughout the 6 months mission. So yeah, to me that is the most difficult thing probably.
Ну, для меня, наверное, самое сложное это, в принципе, то же самое все. Во-первых, это после старта и прибытия на станцию, это привыкнуть к невесомости, то есть понять свой организм, как он будет адаптироваться к условиям невесомости.
Well, for me, I think some of the aspects are the same, and also after launch to get used to the weightlessness, to see how my body will react to microgravity.
Ну, затем, соответственно, после посадки привыкнуть обратно к земной гравитации, то есть организм опять будет заново привыкать жить на Земле.
And then after landing, to get used to living on Earth again, so my body will be adjusting or readjusting to gravity again.
И вот это вот меня, конечно, беспокоит. Ну и, естественно, самое главное в процессе всего полета, мы, конечно же, не можем подвести всех тех людей, кто помогал нам и готовиться, кто помогал готовиться нам именно как наши инструктора, те, кто помогает, те, кто производит космическую технику, то есть всех инженеров, ученых, те, кто готовит научные эксперименты. Ну, как бы не можем их подвести, и наша главная задача – это выполнять свою работу хорошо.
And of course, during the actual flight, it's very important that we meet the expectations of all the people who work tirelessly on the ground, all the scientists and engineers, and perform all the experiments very well.
So we have Will Robinson-Smith with Spectrum News 13 in Orlando on the phone.
Yes, hi, thanks for taking my question. Apologies if this has already been asked, joining the call late, but to each of the crew members, is there a particular memento or trinket that reminds you of home on Earth that you're bringing up with you? And if you could speak to why you wanted to bring that memento up with you. And if that's already been asked, if you could speak to maybe some of the science that you're looking forward to operating on station. Thanks.
So we did go over the items. This will be available for playback on NASA's YouTube account, but did you guys want to talk science?
You know, as I said earlier, we've got hundreds of experiments, you know, on each of these flights continuously going on board station, and so every new visiting vehicle is going to bring many more opportunities. Some of them are more, you know, more astronaut intensive than others, and obviously the medical experiments that we are also subjects of. Those are probably the closest ones to heart. But I usually am looking forward to, sort of generically, I'm always very interested in the material science processes that we're looking at on board station and those experiments as well. But we have so much science, and we've been, you know, just in the past few weeks, we've had so many briefings on things that we're going to be doing. I feel a little bit saturated right now. You guys got any particular ones you're thinking of?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we will be doing a lot of science. I recall, for example, some science on the fluidics and how they react or move in space. And we have some combustion experiments that we'll be monitoring as well. Various types of combustion, and we see the flammability on these elements. This is for the safety of the crew when we go beyond low Earth orbit, going to the moon and beyond. It's another test of flammability. And we have, as you mentioned, Steve, and I do mention as well, we will be subjects to a lot of scientific observation that is done before the flight, during the flight, and post-flight to see the impact of weightlessness on our bodies, on our body mass. So it's all for the sake of science, and it's all for the sake of the push towards the boundaries of exploration towards space. So I'm excited to run all these experiments.
Yeah, it's just amazing what the ISS platform can accomplish. So it's everything from fundamental scientific research to looking back at Earth, monitoring, Earth's atmosphere and the climate system, and just studying our own home planet, to innovation. So like the unique weightless environment on ISS allows us to look at things like novel protein folding that's only possible in weightlessness, or constructing microstructures that can't even hold up their own weight and can only be constructed in that environment. And then, just like Sultan mentioned, something I'm passionate about is I think our 22-year history on ISS has given us enormous value for thinking about how we go forward with Artemis to the moon. And so, Sultan mentioned the combustion experiment. In weightlessness, buoyancy-driven convection is not a thing, and so things burn differently. And I mean, if you really think about things like vehicle design, we're often constrained both in how we design our vehicles and how we operate our vehicles by flammability requirements. So studies like the one Sultan mentioned are enormously important for enabling us to push the envelope in the future a bit more on what we can do with our vehicles. Another one that I'm excited about is we're going to potentially, if we do some EVAs, we may take some swabs outside, some EVA-capable swabs, and actually swab the outside of the space station to try to get a sense of what sorts of like biological material might be out on the outside of space station, and that's relevant for planetary protection when we think about going to Mars. So we're starting to get ahead on thinking about those things and how they impact our future missions.
So I have a question from social media here. It's from Angel on Twitter for Sultan Alneyadi. So you'll be the first Arab to go on a long-duration space mission. Will you be spending Ramadan in space? Are you the first? And what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, 6 months, long duration, first Arab mission. I think it's a great privilege, yet it's a great responsibility. Throughout the 6 months, we will be passing through very like nice occasions like the Eids, the end of Ramadan and the end of the Pilgrim. So I'm in the like a definition of a traveler, and we can actually break fast. It's not compulsory, and actually fasting is not compulsory if you're feeling not well. So in that regard, anything that can jeopardize the mission or maybe put the crew member in a risk, we're actually allowed to eat sufficient food and to prevent any escalation of lack of food or nutrition or hydration. So in that regard, we were safe. If we had the opportunity, definitely Ramadan is a good occasion to fast, and it's actually healthy, and probably share some UAE meals with you guys. But yeah, definitely, we'll wait and see how it goes.
We're excited to hear all about it. So we have one on the phone, Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press.
Yes, hi again. For Steve, I'm wondering, because of the Soyuz leak issue, you're going to be working alongside 3 guys for much longer than you anticipated. And are there any complications with this switch in your crewmates? Any workarounds needed? And are you taking up anything for Frank and his 2 Soyuz partners, like extra clothes or special foods that cater to them, since they're going to be up there a lot longer than they anticipated? Thanks.
They have already anticipated, what they'll need for the extended duration of their mission. They'll be taking care of that. We're just that cargo they'll handle separately. They haven't necessarily briefed us as to what they're going to do. As far as operating with this crew, we were scheduled to operate with this crew for over a month already, and this just extends it. It's changed our expectations for who our colleagues are going to be on orbit for the duration of our mission, but it's going to be a lot of fun. There will be a great crew to work with as well. As I said, we anticipated working with them before, so no real changes that I anticipate going forward. I think we'll just continue to work on the mission. They just have an opportunity to spend an extra 6 months on board.
So we have time for about one more question. Is there any in the room? Yes, in the back. Please wait for a microphone to come to you. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Is there anything that the crew would like to see accomplished during this mission, but also within the next 10 years of space exploration?
Wow. There are a lot of things I'd like to see accomplished during our mission. Everything that's scheduled, I really like my spaceflight nominal. So I would really like the schedule to go as published, and that would be incredibly exciting because the opportunity to have both CFT, Axiom 2, and the 3 visiting cargo vehicles would be absolutely amazing. So I think that would be fantastic. As far as the next 10 years, I've been here a long time, and I've got friends that have been here a lot longer than I have, and every one of them will tell you that this is the most exciting time they've ever been present at NASA. There's so much going on, and it's not just Artemis and exploration back to the moon and onto Mars. It's the development of low Earth orbit, the development of a commercial space program. It's just so exciting, and you guys all have thoughts on this. What do you got, Woody?
Yeah, well, the second question's so easy. We're landing on the moon. So that's going to be incredible. Thinking about the space station, so October 31st of 2000 was the last day that all living humans were on Earth. And since then, we've continuously had a presence on ISS. And so we're just, we're going to spend 6 months up there, and I think continuing that incredible legacy, it's just amazing how much we've learned in those 22 years aboard the ISS, and it's an absolute privilege to get to be a part of that legacy with our mission. And then, looking forward, I remember in college, I was an engineering student, and I remember thinking about internships and being a bit disappointed one day, like I didn't get to work on Apollo. Those were the good days. And what was that? A little more than 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I could not have imagined that 15 years later, I would be like around a program, Artemis, that is going to be sending people back to the moon in a sustainable way, setting up a continuous presence. And so I truly think we are living in the most exciting of times, and we need lots of help. So to any young engineering students out there, we really need your assistance for the next decade of human spaceflight.
Yeah, speaking about the UAE astronaut program, specifically in 2017, it was a new call for participant to apply and fly to space. So I was lucky enough to be selected among the first 2, Hazal Mansour and myself. And in 2019, after a very successful mission, when Hazal went to space, it was the opening towards a continuous presence in space for the UAE. And it was actually a promise from our Prime Minister to continue these flights. So here we are today, we're talking about the second mission. We raised up the bar, now we're talking about 6 months. And we have 2 additional astronauts actually training with the new Ascan class. So we are looking towards mission further into space, looking to join Artemis, hopefully in the future. I would love to see a UAE flag on the lunar service, carried on the shoulder of a UAE astronaut. Yes, I think the UAE is doing a very good job, and in the coming 10 years, I think we'll be following the international efforts towards going to space and pushing the boundaries of exploration.
Nothing yet. Sorry.
Well, that's all the time that we have. This concludes our press conference today. Thank you all for watching. If you didn't get the chance to ask your question, this crew is heading straight over to Instagram, the @ISS account, to answer even more questions. So if you didn't get a chance to ask it then, head over to @ISS, and we're going to get started in about 10 minutes. You can keep up with the Crew6 mission on social media and the CCP blog, and make sure to watch their launch on NASA TV and on your NASA app. So go Crew6.
Go Crew6.
Thanks.
Crew6.
Thanks everybody for coming.